Hey, Composer Gloves here, and today we are doing a sound design we are going to be doing Harmor. We're going to be doing sequenced chords, not necessarily arpeggiated chords, though we will go through arpeggiated chords to get to sequenced chords. Here is a brief example of the chord without the variations, with the sequencing, but I'll show you in just a sec. So this is sequencing. So that's all being done in Harmor, completely inside Harmor. And then, which shouldn't be a shock. And then over here we have, I am automating the clipping thing to create an interesting sort of filter type deal. It's different in the way it goes about it, but here's what it sounds like with variations. This isn't necessarily to be musical in any order, it's just variations. So that's pretty cool. This is a very useful sound in songs, and I have come up with some interesting things I believe that you will find of use to you. So what is going on in this patch? Because at first I'm going to explain the patch, then we'll make something, and we'll call that good. So first, of course, I went to volume, and I said I want to make an ARP. And so I made this thing, and the thing about this is I used the create sequence thing, and that only, as far as I know, can generate ARPs. And so I had to go through and delete all the ARPs and re-put points back in. It's kind of tedious, but the result at the end is really unique and I think worth it. And it's very intuitive for certain things. I'm on this second round. I may just draw my own curves in. It just depends, because it's pretty simple what it's doing. It's just, I'll show you both ways. I'll show you the two ways that I did it. And then, so I came up with this envelope, and that sounded pretty cool. And I came over here, turned the harmonizer up. Now, of course, Harmor from the ground up series. If you do not know what I'm talking about, go look that series up. I put on some distortion. We have some soft saturation, not a ton. This was a very touchy setting. I had to get it right where I wanted it. It's got the amounts not very high, the wet levels at a specific spot, and the filters all the way off. Or all the way, the whole thing's being affected. Then on chorus, I have 4. And I pretty much just left it at default, and I turned the reverb on, and I believe I touched the filter settings a bit, not too much. Added a bit of compression with the low, highs, probably even remove some mids. Why would you want to remove mids? Well, you'd want to remove it, by the way, that extra carryover when I hit spacebar and then not spacebar is because it's using an envelope. So that may be a downside to this method. You may just consider using straight volume automation. But the mids, because you can have more room for other things in your mix. So you're going to move these around, of course, according to whatever's in your mix. And then I have unison, very light unison. And the phaser's on, so it's moving up through the spectrum. I believe that's it. So let's make one of these things. So let's come over here, open up a new Harmor. Let's even use the same chord progression. So I'm going to chord progression away. I'm going to cut this one out. So as of now, I have this. Oh, and I'm moving the clipping around. So this clipping determines where the harmonics clip, where they stop, what level. And I chose the hard low threshold, although all of them are kind of interesting. And I automated that. I automated the clipping thing on and off with it all the way up. So it's an interesting option. So check it out. Again, that's covered in my Harmor from the ground up series. So let's come over here. Let's make a patch. So first, let's just do it with straight volume automation. So first, let's get a cool sound, but something that we can work with and be creative. So let's turn it on. I want it to be sort of a choppy, like da-da-da-da type deal. So I don't want to muddy it up too much. Yeah, I definitely moved this because I already kind of know. Oh, the rest of that's pretty fine. I like that. Let's try a different reverb. Let's turn it. I like that. Okay, so just for the sake of being different, turn on. Keep the spread. Turn the speed down. I like how this one's actually labeled speed. I forgot. Oh, it's in Citrus. It's labeled SD. And I keep thinking spread, but it's speed. So it's kind of unusual. Let's turn on some soft saturation. So I like that. Oh my. Okay, so this sounds pretty much there. come in here. Wow, that's really loud. Hopefully I will turn that down in post for you. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll be really mean. Let's turn this amount way down. Now I remember why I turned it down. Without saturation, pretty similar, but I definitely want it. It gives it that extra little grit that I'm looking for. Okay, so this time, I'm first going to show you the most straightforward way to make a sequence. The most straightforward way is just to volume automate it. In fact, it's probably the way I should have gone about it before. Downsides, you're automating your channel volume, so that's not good. If you automate your fader, then you're automating your fader. These things are generally used to set levels at various places in your chain. Channel volume shouldn't matter that much. However, FL does provide, if you go in the wrapper, they provide additional volume levels. You can automate those. So I could turn that off, and I could automate this instead, and it would not affect the volume automation on my over here. So that's one of the things they do. So problem solved. Go check it out. It's in the MIDI effects in the FL12 effects series, I believe. So let's say I want something that comes down pretty quick, and then I'm gonna leave it at something like this. I have it get a little bit louder. Get louder right there. And then we could even do automation inside our thing. We could automate the bass, which is what the clipping threshold was doing before. So as you can see, that's very straightforward, very easy thing to do. And then essentially, this is like a billion times easier than what I'm about to show you. But it's not integrated in the patch, so it's like project specific. That first one's a little... Oh yeah, and the change here affects them all, so it's another plus. And you can make it unique if you want it to, you know, stay unique. So, and then you could vary it. So that's a very easy way. And then we could even come in here. So the clipping's an interesting option. Let's come back here. A little misleading when you leave it on that page. Okay, so let's go into clipping. Let's do a soft threshold. So essentially, it acts sort of like a filter. So let me show you. It is attenuating the higher frequencies based on the amplitude. So, again, that's covered in my series. Let's turn this on. Hey, put it over that. That was a little strange. So, let's do something like this. So this is off. And then right here, I want it to be there. Come on. Make it off here. Bring it up. And then, actually, I'll leave this one alone. We'll make it completely off. No, we'll leave it on, and then we'll let it roll off. See, pretty cool stuff. That's dope. Hashtag dope. I mean, we could even vary the rhythm, and we could just get a really neat thing going. So we could turn on the phaser. That creates some interesting things. You could even mess with it, make it like deeper hertz. I like the way phasers sound, even though they're kind of obvious when you're using them. Some people don't like them because they're so obvious. They're like, oh, that's a phaser. And I'm sometimes like that. I'm like, that phaser is so obvious, but it's just a creative move, man. It's like, whatever. So I want my high end. So we're just going to compress that. So that's the first method to do it. So let's talk about the second method. Let's clone this. Let's keep it all contained within the same, Harmor. So where's my chords, man? Oh, I'm using pattern 1. Okay, copy. Pattern 2. Okay, so it's pretty much the same thing now, except for, let me make sure the volume isn't being automated. It's not. Perfect. And, pattern. Maybe it is. Okay, cool. So now let's say, how do I get it to do it so that I can save it as a patch and call it up later? Well, you come over here. We're going to automate the volume again. Now, this time, hey, I didn't move the harmonizer up on that. So probably sound kind of cool with the harmonizer on. So, okay, so you turn it on. Now, when you're creating with this, I recommend turning the volume down because you're going to need to have it playing. And I'm going to talk over this, so I need it down. You're going to have it playing while you do it because you can't hear the changes you're making. You can, I mean, if you want to make the changes without hearing it, but if you have the option to hear it, I'd rather hear it and know what it's going to sound like. However, the two methods will influence the way you do things. So some people will turn on the envelope. And okay, that's great. Now you could come in here and you could, make an envelope. So that's a really interesting thing. Now the thing about doing it this way is your envelope will always re-trigger. It will re-trigger the snot out of itself. So not necessarily the greatest goal. So first of all, I'm gonna tempo sync it too. Now what you can do, I wonder if this will work. I've never actually tried this, but it would make sense. If we make this a loop start and this a loop end, which by definition it is. Nope, it still re-triggers. So there's a way to defeat this. Come over here, go to create sequence. And as you can see, my old sequence is already in there. Now it'll put in all these arcs for you. And I can't play or pause it. So I have to start it and then go to create sequence. And it works. And so that's how you make an art. Pretty simple right there. But let's say, that's why I also turn it down, is because you can't stop it or start it while it's doing this. All right, so I'm going to ignore this. So you can change the levels. You could change the pattern. If you want a dicier time multiplicator, you could do that. Come in here, decay slope. So you could just manipulate your curve. We talked about this before, so I just came in here and so that's cool. Now you click accept. There's a bunch of other options too. And of course, this might be the sequence you're going for. This is by far the easiest method, by the way. But if you want it in your patch, so then you come in here and then to get it to be like chords, you got to come in here. You got to find the points with the stupid thing on it. Click none. That'll fix the first one. All the others you have to delete. I said delete. So this is another cool way to vary things up. This would be the only way, unless you get really creative with the way you write your stuff, this would be the only way to have it chord and then one note and then a chord and then another note. So that would be one reason to use this. And it plays through your entire thing, I believe. But I didn't really check that, so there's always ways. If you have the vision, there's ways to do it. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to just take this one down. There we go. And that last one's got a thing on it. And it switches it over, as you can tell. So there we go. Now, there are other plugins that just do this. Like, that's their only job is to do stuff like this. And I personally think those are better. Like things like Glitch. It's a free one. So pretty interesting stuff. Now, let's turn it back up. And let's put that in. So we're going to mute that top one. Whoops. I said mute it. There we go. Pretty cool. Let's turn on the harmonizer. Harmonizer may or may not be something you want to do. But anyways, that's the basics of sequencing chords. And you could do this with anything. We could let's just pull up another patch. Let's do it with Harmor 2 because, in fact, yeah, let's just do it with this one. So pull up another patch, come over here. Let's just grab a pad sound. Let's do emblem. That seems pretty interesting. And the reason I choose this is because the volumes are being automated. So I forgot if the volume automation would carry over, but if we unmute, whoops, it's that alt. I keep getting my alts mixed up. Okay, here we go. See, that's pretty crazy. So maybe we don't want something that crazy. Let's see. The protection on this one, because it's so low already. Let's come over here to a keyboard sound. So as you can see, it's a very versatile idea. It's not limited to the patch. However, I did create a patch with sort of that one goal in mind. So it's whatever, you know? It's whatever. So we could layer them. So again, and you can link other, so if you do layers too, another thing, like in the last couple, I forgot which one, was it the last one? We did layers. We had layers of sounds. You could layer them all together and then have them all link all the controls to the volume to this one thing. And so you could control all of them with one automation clip. Another reason to choose this workflow. However, the ability, again, to do things, you might just write it through a mixer track and put a volume knob on there, because FL has one where it's just a volume knob for reasons like this. And they also have Gross Beat does things similar to this. Glitch does things similar to this. So, and they give you even more options with pitch, because you can do the same thing with pitch. You can do the same thing. Like, we could come in here and create a pitch envelope. Panning, phaser, pitch amount. No, prism amount. Gosh dang it. Pitch. There we go. We could turn this one on and create a thing. But this is going to be a bad idea with a chord. Yeah, it's a horrible idea. But you could do the same thing and create an interesting sequence like that. So if you have any questions about this, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day.